Welcome. Barrett, chapter 7, discusses, and this whole section present the evolution of anthropology and ethnography. When it began, the practitioners like Malinowski imagined they were doing pure science when they live among the natives for 6 months or a year. They saw themselves as a fly on the wall, not influencing what was happening. They could not see the fact that they were there, they were changing. People are performing, interacting with you, even when you pretend not to do that. And by asking questions further, you are changing the views of people because you're making them think of things they have not thought about before. And in doing so, they present what an answer comes to you based on your question, not based on their original values. It is impossible to have interactions without human subjectivity. Let me give you an example of so-called hard sciences, biological sciences. It is now known that the zygote is formed, and this has been known for a long time, when one sperm enters the egg. Well, it was understood for a long time that the sperm that won entered the egg. They are all running, and the one that enters wins because I arrived first, because it was stronger. Well, that is not the case. It was discovered that it is the egg that through chemical compounds opens and closes the door of the egg, meaning the filament that separates the egg from the environment. The chemicals decide which sperm, because the sperm when touches and tries to enter is sending chemicals, and the egg will decide which of the sperms that is touching will be allowed in. Guess who discovered this? A female. Before, it was documented by males. When it was documented by a female, the female brought her femaleness. And in doing so, saw things that others had not seen. She did not change what happened, but she saw the things from a different perspective than the male, and then was able to discover that it's the egg that decides what a sperm enters. In anthropology, we have gone through 3 huge main cycles, a cycle of 3 steps. The first step was pretending that what we do is pure science, just like the scientists still pretend that. Because the female, when she wrote her article, she did not write the report and the article saying, me as a female, I have observations that come from my being a female, and my estrogen makes me ask questions that other males do not ask with their testosterone. She did not say any of that, nor was I expecting for her to say it. But the point is, she saw it different because she was a different person. And just like scientists of biology today pretend that there's no bias and there's no subjectivity in what they do, the questions they choose, they are the universal questions that everybody will ask. Is their perspective. Well, that is not the case. But that was the first stage of science and anthropology and ethnography. The second stage is the one I practice and I teach, is the one I recommend, acknowledges that subjectivity is a full part from the questions you begin with. Your research question is not the one universal question that everybody asks. It comes to you because of your experience, because of your biases, and there's nothing wrong with that. In fact, reality doesn't exist. Reality is the collection of all of the perspectives There's nothing outside of the perspectives. Because if there is something outside of the perspective, we cannot see it because it's not part of anyone's perspective and it will not be documented. So that's the middle ground where you acknowledge your bias and minimize the variables in order to make it scientific and replicable, that somebody else can do it. So you ask the same questions always. You select a group that has a cohesion, a cultural cohesion, and you minimize diversity in the subjects, the people. Subjects is not a good word. The participants of your study. The third position is that ethnography is literature. It's like a poem. It's totally the artifice of the imagination of the writer. I do not teach and I do not believe that is the case. Although I can see how you could produce it that way. So these are the three positions. The chapter introduces that last version. You have already seen the documentation for the other two versions. I am always happy to have conversations with you about ethnography and about Barrett. Thank you very much.